If you follow the channel, you know that we are restoring, refurbishing, rebuilding a Yamaha XTZ 750 Super Tenere Model 3LD from 1995. So far, we got an overview at the bike in part 1, found a lot of faults and started the disassembly. That continued also in part 2. Then in part 3, we found out that both fuel tubs were leaking. Crap. And also took off the brakes. After that, we found out that in part 4, we had a broken bolt from the airbox and repaired it. In part 5, we restored the fuel taps to a better as new condition, and in part 6, we found a missing fuel filter from the fuel taps in the tank with an endoscope. In part 7, we looked at the damage on the front rim and the brake discs. In part 8, we removed the ignition lock, which was held in with unwrenchable screws, so we had to be inventive. Then in part 9, we started the actual restoration process. For that, we needed to build a paint booth and got familiar with spray painting. In this video, which is part 10, we look at the paint jobs we did for the first time, swap out the old front wheel, bearings with much hassle and cheap Chinese tools which say it is Japanese quality. Yeah, right. Then we put new bearings in and put it all together. If you are here for the first time, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Tom, and if you make it to the end, do not forget to subscribe, and if you feel so, leave a like. I list all the parts in the description below and hope you enjoy them too. So if you have seen the previous episodes, you have seen that the lower front fork holder was in very bad condition, and now it looks like this after repainting it and sandblasting it. That's the upper part of the fork holder, and it also looks stunning to me in person. That one is a water drop in the middle there. It was raining outside. And here we have the front wheel hub, which we have to take apart, in the sense of we have to renew the bearings, and for that we just take off the covers I did there for painting, and then take our marvelous Japanese bearing removing machine to remove that. I will speed that process up because it took me around 2 hours to figure that out, how to actually remove the bearings. So let's take a look at what bearings we use. That's called from a company called All Balls, and they are the right bearings, but not the right how is it called, rubber gaskets for that bearing. So that's a bit confusing to me. Anyhow, so these are the tools we are going to use for extracting the bearings out of the wheel hub, and you see me here trying different sizes, which one fits correctly, and this one did not, but the other one will do. And the technique behind this is you have an opening in the front of this tool which fits the radius of the inner side of the bearing, and you put some kind of pointy stick through it so that expands at the end, and then you can actually drag out or however force out the bearing that way through a mechanism you see right there. All of this is suboptimal, I would say, because it's not made for motorbikes, not even thought about how that all works. So it's just a contraption that I wasn't prepared to work with. As you see here, it fits in there, but the main, how is it called, stopper to actually tear the bearing out is quite not fitting as I would like it to be. So here you see how it works. You screw that in, and then the end gets bigger and wider, and you can pull it out. But if you want to do that with these tools, you cannot, because the holder is just too, how can I say, small. It fits the bearing exactly, but not, it should stay on the outside of the bearing on the wheel hub, but it does not. You see, I tried that here, and well, let's go right to the contraption I had to build that this actually fits. See, it should fit differently. It should fit on the outside, not on the inside. Like this, I would pull the bearing itself apart. That would make no sense at all. So here's what I came up with. Some kind of support to actually have some force to pull the bearing out. I put this tube there, which is actually the fixation point to have force on that bearing. But that didn't work also, because as you see, I have no clearance higher than the point on the wheel hub, and that's actually the biggest problem. So there is more to the story. So then I came up with the idea, first of all, to protect the wheel hub, the new paint, from getting ripped off, and found some used rods to put under these metal plates so that I can have the clearance to push the bearing out. You see, it's already almost out, but without these rods it can't go much further up. So I use these to get that out. Here you see the final result on that. I had to hold with one hand, screw with the other hand, and with my body hold these rods that they don't move. And that finally, after I guess 2 hours or 2.5 hours, gave me, brought me to the point where actually I got out the bearing. And, or is it bearing? 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 Bearing. I like to say bearing. There you have it. 25-year-old fat in there. Well, but we managed to do that. So we have to do that on the other side. I will not bore you with that process because it's the same as this process. And then we have to press these back in. And that's what we're gonna do. We press these new bearings out of the pack I show you at the beginning and have them fit. So this is as easy as it gets. You just take a press, whatever press there is. I have a cheapo Chinese which works somehow, and I like to put the old bearing on top because it has the same width and can be used for that, and to press in the old one. And that's actually what I do here. I just push that it fits. Press them both down, and well, there is nothing more to show. It will all go in very smoothly. Then I use a bolt to actually have a bit of pointier force there and press the bearing down, and that's it. You are done with that. Our last thing to do here is to put back the rubber gasket, which protects the bearing from from dirt and the weather, I guess. And that's it. Now we can assemble the wheel. Here we are in all its glory. We are trying to put together the front wheel as it has been. So, I watched some videos and actually took pictures of everything, but the big thing is to place the spokes right and have it all correct. So, the biggest problem for me is to, as I have never done this before, to align them correctly, and it was said to find the hole for the for the pin. That one. Not that one. That one. I guess it's that one here. So I may play music over this because it's very, very new to me to do all this. These are the thingies I will use, the tools. Maybe this one too, I'm not sure yet, but that is not for now. We have to make sure somehow that we put them in the correct location. As you see here, there are two straights from the top and always one underneath. You see? Underneath, on top, and that one is underneath. We'll make it, we'll make it. While you watch me putting this all together, it's a shame I lost the footage of the left camera. You see the stand there, and can show you this one. The process is always the same. You have to align the spokes correctly and then screw them together, as you see here in the video. It's not that complicated, but I actually did that 3 times. This one was a test fit because you see it still has the cover of the bearing inside there when I painted it, and after I installed the bearings, I redid this process 2 times. And just for the sake that I know what I'm doing and that I correctly do that, and I actually have an alignment wheel where you can put the wheel in, alignment rack where you put the wheel in and can spin it and tighten and loosen the spokes as you see fit to actually have a straight running wheel. And unfortunately that footage is lost, and well, I only have to show you this, but I guess that's good enough for the moment. The next video will be about reassembling the front, and I'm very glad that we do that. So thank you for watching, have a nice day, and see you soon.